There has been, when you talk about civil war, um, there are many definitions of civil war in Syria now, because in the past, since 2011, we have seen a civil war which had so many international powers in it. But this time we are talking about a war which is probably within the Syrian ranks itself. But coming on to the Druze, you talked about the sectarian rhetoric of the al-Sharaa regime. Uh, do you think that this is going to change the Druze posture? I mean, we have seen them being autonomous for the past many years. They have been, totally neutral with the Assad regime. But do you think that with all this rhetoric, the Druze are going to change their posture into a more militarized version?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not a military expert, but what I can say is that many of the Druze community, like any other community in Syria, joined the revolution since 2011 and called for reforms and called for Assad to step down and called for the values of the revolution, which is freedom, dignity, justice, accountability. And even before the fall of Assad, we have seen and we have been watching the beautiful protest, peaceful protest of the people of Sweda, calling for freedom, to free all of the detainees, against the Israeli aggression, all of the beautiful values that they upheld, all of these, like in the past months and years. And it's just sad because I know that after what the government did, like they resorted to this military solution by raiding El Sueda or attacking Sueda, where a lot of the crimes were committed in the span of 48 hours, killings on the spot because of their sect, looting, raping, burning of homes, and forcing people out of their homes. We cannot expect that the residents of Sweda will trust this government again unless there's a real political solution and not a military one. That's what I see, and that's what I believe.
But that's not the situation on ground actually is, because we see that the Druze militia, they now control 70% of Sweda. And within the Druze population, they are 700,000 strong, and they are divided in Israel and Lebanon and Syria. There are different opinions. There are people who talk about just like you said, the freedom. There are people who talk about being completely non-partisan. There are people who talk about the self-rule. They talk about self-governance. So do you think that these rhetorics or these political stances, do they play a part in this political scenario as well, in this military scenario as well?
Of course, yes. Like in any area where there are multiple armed groups, of course, the military situation will continue to raise like that. As I said, I'm not a military expert, but I am sure that any armed group today in Sweda cannot represent the whole residents of Sweda or the whole Druze community. Even if they had their own agendas, it is the responsibility of the government, because it is the recognized government today by the international community. I can't speak on behalf of an armed group or a militia, but what I know is that the government in Damascus, because it is recognized by world leaders and a lot of international governments, they have the responsibility to try all of the past to like negotiate and push for a political solution or agreement instead of just resorting to this military solution.